Hey everybody, welcome back to Everyday Journey. I've got this tiller that I got at an auction. No idea if it works, but I do know that at the moment anyway, it will not hook to my tractor. So we're gonna go ahead and hook it up with the chains here, drag it around to the shop, and then do a little bit of maintenance on it so that we can get everything the way we need it to. I know you can probably hear in the background, got a little bit of metal flopping around in the wind. It's a little windy outside, and I've got some loose panels on my above my shop, so it's where I do my voiceovers, and you can hear it. So anybody asking, this is a 5-foot tiller produced by Long, and I'm not sure if they make anything anymore, but I do know that this thing is old, and I haven't been able to find one exactly like it so that I can compare prices, but I paid about 300 bucks for this thing, I think, if I remember right, and just the hopes that it would work. And of course, if it does work, it should be well worth that. So to hook this thing up to my tractor, I got to take off this. This is the drawbar. You can see right here, this is going to be the story of the whole day here. Trying to get things loose that do not want to come loose. So I put a cheater pipe on this. This is a flimsy little cheater pipe. And of course it's not working, so let's bring out the big guns. Go ahead and get the, I think this is about 2 foot. And this should do it. Alright, yeah, so this one wasn't that bad. Just get this loose. And I didn't realize this whenever I didn't exactly know what I was looking at here. I thought it was a bolt that went all the way through, kind of like a pin, and just kind of bolted to, but it's actually not. It's actually a bolt that's hollow. So it's got a hole through the center of it. And once you get the bolt out, it actually is just holding in a pin that's going through this drawbar and holding it in. I don't know why they couldn't have gone with a bolt that basically is just a pin on the end of it with threads down towards the towards the head of the bolt. But this is what they chose, so it's what we deal with. After the bolt comes out, I can't really. It's just a retaining bolt. Can't really get this this pin out. So trying to wiggle it around, wiggle the drawbar around, and get a little bit of movement in it, but figure I might as well go ahead and break up the hammer, and I can pull it, I can tap it down a little bit with the pliers, hook to it, and I can tap it back up and basically just keep working my way back and forth, forwards, up and then down and then up and then down until eventually it will come the rest of the way out. And this thing is pain. You can see it's coming loose now, but I just have to make sure that before this goes in there again permanently, that I put something on there like some anti-seize or maybe even just a little bit of grease, just something to help keep it from, sticking in there next time. And I was hoping I could pull this drawbar in far enough that I could just leave it on, leave it connected, but it doesn't want to go in that far, so I'm just going to go ahead and take it off. Just so we don't lose anything though, I'll go ahead and put the pin back and put the retaining bolt back in. And then later on when I put this back on, all the stuff I need will be right there. Let's get this out of the way, put it over here to the side. Eventually I have to put that back on, but for now, let's go ahead and see about switching around these pins. These are the pins that go for the 3-point hitch. And the problem I have here is these pins, there's a smaller pin that sticks out on one side, and then there's a thicker pin that goes towards the inside. I can't get my 3-point hitch, I don't even know what you call them, I can't get them to come in towards the, in together enough that they will hook up to this. So in order to help this out the best, because that's just, I'm going to go ahead and turn these around. I put this pry bar in here. I had to point it into it, put it in just to the hole of this pin on the inside there. And of course, it breaks it. I didn't think that was going to happen, but it did. So moving on to the plan B. Go ahead and take my pipe wrench here. This one's got the better teeth, so I'm going to put it on the inside It's just going to connect to the pin itself. And I say it's a pin, but it's, I don't know what it is. It's just what sticks out that you hook your drawbar to, or I mean your 3-point hitch to. So we use the other wrench, and this one's got the worst teeth on it. This will go for the nut itself because I don't really need any teeth for that. And of course it's still kind of stuck, so let's reposition this real quick. And then tappy tap tap. This is a little, what they call it, percussive persuasion. And if I was a smart man, I'd actually tap a little bit further up, because right there on that eyelet there is probably the weakest point of this whole wrench. So it's not a good place to do it, but luckily it's not hard enough to do anything but to break this nut free. And now we can just take it off and turn it around. Now you can see what I was talking about. I just got to switch this around and put the one that's larger on the outside. And I could have used the smaller one, but I would have had to put a sleeve on it. And I mean, if this is mine and my tractor requires the bigger one, then I'm not even going to mess with the sleeve. I'm just going to go ahead and hook this up. It'll be set for me. Anybody else ever needs to use it, they can switch it back around. So here's the other side. We'll just go ahead and do the same thing. Just unbolt it. This one comes a lot easier. Go ahead and switch it around. Now the larger one is on the outside. And just tighten it back up. And now here comes the fun part. Messing with this PTO shaft. And you can see everything so far has been stuck, so this one's not going to be any different. This is just the pin that's on the outside. This is, I guess, the quick release pin. And all I'm doing here is just basically tapping it with the hammer, trying to get it to go in, spraying it with a little WD-40, trying to get it to go in. And I'm trying everything lightly at first, and then tapping harder and harder and harder, because I'm really not trying to break anything. It does go in a little bit. Now I'm trying to hook onto it with some vice grips so I can pop it back out. And of course, this is going to be just working it back and forth, little in, little out, till eventually it has some free movement in it. One thing I did try is I've got a punch in the opposite side, and there's a small hole that you can access for that. And of course, I've already made the hole larger, so that may be something I have to fix in the future. But now I'm using the pin on one side, using the hammer on the other, or the punch on the one side, and just basically tap it one way, tap it the other way, and keep going back and forth until it's free enough that I can actually use this thing. And here you can see the hole that I made, and the punch goes in, pushes out, and this thing's supposed to be spring loaded, but it does have spring tension in there. I can feel it, but it's still sticky enough that it's not really keeping it or holding it or letting it go out like it should. So it'll hold out to be connected, but it doesn't just pop out on its own. So I'll have to, at least for the time being anyway, get the punch out or something like that to push this out each time to make sure that it stays in place on the PTO shaft. So let's go ahead and try to get this thing connected. Of course, the first thing I want to do is go ahead and connect the PTO shaft. And I don't know which is better, connect the shaft first or whether it's to connect everything else. But I'm going to try the shaft, and it's a good thing I did, because I can already see this thing is stuck. It is not extending like it should. And anybody that's ever dealt with this problem, and I've only dealt with it just a little bit, sometimes it frees itself fairly easily, but this one has been must be in the field for a long time, because it's just not working. So go ahead and hook up everything else with the tractor. And then I go ahead and take a ratchet strap and put through this U-joint here, and go ahead and see if I can't connect it up to the front of the tractor, and then use the ratchet to pull it. And it's not moving still. And you can see right here, this thing is it's just stuck. So then I try the next thing, jumping on it. That's not working either. I mean, I'm not jumping on it, but I mean, I'm putting some weight on it. Now I got a chain hooked to it, got it hooked up to the front on my, hooked up to the bucket. And I'm just trying to use the bucket to put some tension on this thing to get it to pull. and it does not want to go. And eventually, you see right there, it just slips. So I just had the hook on it. Now I've got the chain running completely through the U-joint, hooked up on itself. Now it's hooked to the bucket again, and I'm just trying it, pulling it, and then letting it go, and then pulling it and letting it go. And when that doesn't seem to work, then I'm trying to jerk it, and it still is not doing anything. And like I said, this is a recurring theme here. Everything here was rusted up, been sitting for a very long time, so who knows. So what I did here is I went ahead and put this clamp on so that I could hold down the pin, the quick release pin, and then use the bucket to go ahead and pull this and let it come off, because this thing was kind of rusted to it. And now that it's off, I can break out the big guns here. I've got it chained to my truck, and then I got it chained to the tree, and then I've got a come along here. And I don't know exactly what size come along this is, but I've been using it for a long time, and so far I haven't broken it, so it must be fairly good. Good enough to pull my truck, as you can see. So we're not really knowing exactly how much it was going to keep pulling the truck like this. I went ahead and went inside, put on the e-brake, put it in four-wheel low. That way it's got all four wheels locked to the transmission there. And maybe it won't pull so much. And then just keep trying it with the come along. This thing does not seem to want to go. It's getting a little bit tight, but I'm not too worried about that so much. I'm more worried about something snapping. So I put on this cheater pipe, which is not really there to crank this thing, at least not at the moment anyway. It's really there to get me off to the side far enough that hopefully if something snaps, it's not going to come back and hit me. I'll be off to the side far enough that hopefully I'll just hit the truck or the tree or something. But this thing is getting tight. Try again with the percussive persuasion there. Just tapping it a little bit. I'm not sure exactly how strong everything is on the inside of this. I'm just tapping it just enough to hopefully get things to let loose a little bit. And then crank it a little bit more, and then tap it a little bit more, crank it a little bit more, and keep going back and forth, because I'm trying to go with the least amount of damage to this. So I'm just working my way up. I think this thing's about as tight as I want to get, so we're going to go ahead and cut this sleeve off of here. This is the safety sleeve, the plastic jacket or whatever that's on here. And this one doesn't look that good anyway, so who knows how well it would work. But we're going to get all this cut off of here so we can get down to the metal and see what we're working with. Now you can see this thing is still pretty rusted. Go ahead and tap away at it. See if it won't, directly to it instead of on the plastic. Hopefully that doesn't, hopefully that will get us a little bit of, get something to break free on the inside, because this thing is tight. I mean, it's, like I said, who knows? I mean, these things are expensive though. If I can save this one in any way, save myself a little bit of money by not having to buy a new one. So the tapping didn't work, the pulling's not working. Let's go ahead and add a little bit of heat. Maybe it'll cause that connection between the two metals to break free a little bit, because it should heat up this outside part of the shaft, and that should hopefully that'll heat it up enough to cause it to expand and break that connection a little bit. This thing's got a lot of tension on it at the moment, and it looks like it's moving just a little bit. I can't really tell, so I just crank it a little bit more, and I just tap a little bit more, and then hopefully it'll finally budge. I think it's moving. I can't really tell for sure, but I think it might be. Of course, look, right off camera there, it did. So we just keep cranking on it, keep tapping on it. Hopefully this thing will eventually just slide right out, no problem. There goes a little bit more. And now a lot more. And you'd think that that would be it. Be able to move that far, you would think that would do it, but nope, it's still fighting me this whole way. And you can see right here, it breaks my come along. So it is tight. Well, can't do any more damage to it, right? Let's go ahead and see if we can't break the truck. Hook up to it, pull it little by little. This is, like I said, 4-wheel low. See if a little jerk to it will help. End up getting all 4 wheels spinning on this thing, and it does not want to move. Every now and then I get a little bit of movement in it, but for the most part, it's stuck. I mean, look at it. It's probably about, I don't know, maybe a third out, maybe closer, almost close to a half, but it does not want to come out any further. And after breaking my come along, I mean, I'm tired of this thing anyway. It's one of those things where it's already ticked me off. I'm going to just sit here and pull at it until something else breaks. Whether I break my chain, whether I break my bumper, pull the ball off of it, something like that, or maybe it just comes loose too. At this point, I mean, I'm just having to jerk it a little bit. It's not wanting to go. There it went a little bit further, but it's still not coming out. This has got to be halfway now, and it's still taking a full force of this truck. I mean, I'm just at this point just jerking the hell out of it because I don't even care. It'll either come loose or it's going to break. And who knows how these U-joints are going to be whenever I get done. See, there's no way that should have come loose. This thing may not be usable at all. One last tap here, just to kind of break things free. And then we're just going to jerk the hell out of it. Something will either come loose or break. I'm not sure which, but I'm going to keep going until something does. Holy crap. That right there, who knows, I don't even know how long that took, but between hooking it to the tractor and trying all the things and hooking it to the truck and everything else, this thing is taking forever. Of course, now that it's apart, I'm going to go ahead and clean it up with the wire brush and then test fit it here. Can't really do anything about the inside of this, but for some reason it seems fairly clean. So I'm just going to run this back and forth through here. Hopefully that'll break up some of whatever's in there. Dump it out and then just grease it up. That's all I can do. And this is just some axle grease that I've had for years. Been using on tons and tons of projects. I bet you it's probably 30 years old. And I just lube it up real well so that everything hopefully will not stick again in the future. Of course, there's no reason to do anything with any of that stuff if you're not going to also clean up the shaft that it connects to. So take out our wire brush or wire wheel, go ahead and do this on a tiller. The one on a tractor wasn't too bad, so I'm going to just go ahead and grease it. But grease this one, get this thing connected up, and then move over to connecting it to the tractor. Lube up the one on the tractor there, connect this side up, and then let's go ahead and raise this thing in the air so that we can go ahead and do the rest of the greasing. So there is a grease fitting, a Zerk fitting on each side of this, on one U-joint and then on the other. This other side though, surprisingly, look at this, it's actually moving. Just taking a screwdriver and kind of prying it around. Of course, again, this is lifted up in the air. So everything is free. I'm surprised. At this point, we just raise up the tiller so that the PTO shaft is straight, and then go ahead and engage it and see what happens. Right here, you don't hear anything out of the norm, so I think we're good to go. I do want to tear this thing apart further and go ahead and clean out all the gears and the gearbox and stuff like that, but that's a different day. Right now, it's working. That's all we need. One thing I did notice though is there are 2 tines in here that if you could see these tines, they all have 2 bolts holding them on. And 2 of these tines though only had 1 bolt. And of course with 1 bolt, any kind of anything that hit, which may or may not have sheared off the bolt in the first place, just caused this thing to force its way backwards. But we loosen up the one that is still connected so that this thing will swing freely. Put a bolt in place. And in this bolt, this is one of my own. It's too long. And I don't have the right size nut like these are. They're large nuts on there. But I do have what I would consider a jam nut. So I tighten everything up, tighten the one jam nut on, and then tighten another one behind it. And that should make it as good, if not better, than what you see here with all the other ones. And then off camera, I do the other bolt as well. And then we go to the garden. We'll see what this thing's going to do. Tell you what, this right here, I've gone down through here, and I don't know, off camera or whatever, this part probably has taken about maybe 2 or 3 minutes for me because I've never used this before and I'm taking my time. But that probably, this little section right here, this is 5-foot swath of land that's been tilled, probably would have taken me about an hour or more using the regular tiller. And this thing is just ripping right through. I'm pretty sure I'm going to love this. Back up and try again. And the one thing I do notice with this is that really and truly, I either need a smaller tractor or I need a bigger tiller, because it's not tilling where my tires just ran it over. So basically, since my tires are sticking out farther than the tiller is, my tires are just packing things down in that area and it's not tilling it up again. So that is one problem with this that I see as being an issue, but you know, there's nothing, I can either one, space it out properly so that my tires will end up being where my rows, where my walkways will be, or 2, I can just till that up a little bit, or you know, just take the hoe or something like that and break it up if I need to. But you can see right here, this took the whole, did the whole garden. And over there in the far left-hand side of this is where I was tilling originally. This is probably about an acre garden, and I tilled the whole thing in probably about an hour. That would have taken me probably about a week before. So this is really good. This is definitely a game changer. And the way my body is breaking down anymore, shoulders and my elbows and everything else, this hopefully can save me a lot of labor. All right, so the voiceover for this thing actually took me 2 tries. This is my second try. First time, probably about a minute in, the batteries in my mic actually stopped working. So I went through the whole video talking about the whole thing, and of course it didn't record any of it except for the first minute. So you can see right there, this thing definitely works and is a game changer. My tiller still works, should anyway. I haven't tried it out this year, but it would have taken me forever to do that much land. And granted, I don't know, this is a lot of land to try to do with just one person. So it means I got a lot of work ahead of me. And I don't know how it's going to work. What I'm going to end up doing is the place where I first started tilling there, I'm going to go ahead and do that. That's where I'm going to start. That's where my garlic is there on the left-hand side. That's row 1, 2, 3, so on and so forth. And I'm always going to try to focus more on those rows and work my way from left to right. And if I find at any time that I can't keep up with anything, the things on the right are going to be the ones that are going to suffer the most. I'm going to pay more attention, put my most attention to the things on the left. And then the biggest part there on the end, that actually I'm planning on see if I can't use that for things like okra, corn, things that I can plant in large plots. And if I'm tilling it up, it's not too much effort that way. And then at the same time, I can walk through there and plant the seeds. I do have a, what do you call it? Earthway. I think that's the name. Earthway seeder that I found for somebody used. And of course, everything I get is used. But I can plant corn with that thing. I can also plant the okra with that. And those things should be fairly easy to do in those areas. And corn and okra, I've not ever had too much problems with weeds and stuff like that anyway. So, and the fact that I'm not planning on spraying for weeds, and I'll go through there and cultivate it if I can, if I got time. But, you know, if I don't, then who really cares? It'll be over there doing its thing. So that's my plan with all this. Sorry this video took so long, but as you can see, this is several days worth of fighting with that thing. And then of course, every time I got a chance to come down here and do the voiceover for it, that kind of got either really, really blustering wind day and it was just too noisy down here, or two, the batteries are dead and things won't work. So I'm here now. We did get it done. And just for people that care, this is March 9th. I'm still fighting. I've got more stuff transplanted, or more stuff planted to later transplant. And I'm still working on the Arduino stuff. I got some of that stuff in. You see right here is what I did last time. And that will probably be my next video, so that we can get some testing going on with that, so that we can get things going, because that greenhouse is going to be heating up quick. There's been some days already that it has been really hot in there. I just have to open up the door. But I'd like to keep it as warm as possible without it being too warm, because the plants, one, will prefer it to be nice and warm, but two, the warmer it is in there, the more the earth inside there is acting more of a battery, storing that heat so that throughout the night it stays warmer as well. If we got the doors open, it's not going to really do it that way. So that's my plan. If you guys liked any of this, give me the like, give me the thumbs up. And if you got any questions, put in the comments. Love to read them, love to respond. And hit the bell notification, subscribe, like, all that good stuff. And until next time, y'all take care.